If I had to sum up today's entire video in a single word, it would be complicated. The internet seems to have a very complex relationship with one of its most popular apps, TikTok. Many people hate it. No one really seems to love it. But over the years, one thing has become very clear. No matter how you feel about it, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Allegedly. I know there's been talk about banning it, but nevertheless, it persists. So I have conducted extensive research called Making a Community Post, where I asked people for their unpopular opinions about TikTok. And today we're going to go through and answer some important questions like, how are we feeling about the clock app? Is this a good thing or is this the death of attention spans as we know it? And why is so much content on TikTok like that? You know exactly what I mean. But first, welcome. My name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of Arboreal Borealis, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, we have our first installment of Here's Why You're Wrong. Or rather, this is the first installment for many of you, though eagle-eyed fans who have been here for a while may remember this series from a few years back, where basically I collect your opinions on a topic and then I go through and decide whether or not you're wrong. Now, of course, the gag is everyone is entitled to their opinion, but also this channel has my name on it, which ultimately makes me the arbiter of everything that is wrong or right within this world. And I can't wait to go mad with power. I feel like it has become way more normal to film someone in public and post it on TikTok without them knowing or consenting. Of course, this happens on other platforms, but on TikTok, it's particularly bad. Just because someone is in a public space does not mean you can film or take pictures of them freely. Here's why you're right. I think with every new iteration of content creation, the barrier to entry gets lower every single time. Like thinking back, you used to need a whole crew. Then fast forward to YouTube and it's like you just need a camera and a mic. And then fast forward to TikTok, which encourages basically everyone on the app to be a creator using only their phone. I feel like that's led to the idea that we all are privy to these viral moments and we all have phones and we're all on TikTok. So we must all be opted into the nonsense of posting people without their permission. But really, I think that's just TikTok brain rot. Just because we can now all post anything that happens anywhere does not mean we need to. And I guess that doesn't even just apply to filming people without their consent. The amount of things that people post to TikTok that simply don't need to be on the internet. I feel like our concept of what belongs on the web has been totally warped by the clock app. People oversimplify fandoms to good or bad too much. For example, book talk, because there is a part that acts weird or something, it's viewed as a bad fandom. I just hate the stereotyping of fandoms and stuff, and it happens way too much on TikTok. Here's why you're right. Being a part of any fan group has always been rough because ultimately, as I've said before, fandoms are just collections of people and people are people, unfortunately. So yeah, book talk I think actually does have a lot of problems if you only paid attention to the times it goes viral for being problematic. But it is absurdly unfair to lump all book talk together because there are so many people who are just reading books, going on the clock app, and then wanting to find people to discuss them with. That has nothing to do with the people who are bad actors and giving the fandom a bad name, etc. That being said, to the book talk people who are like that, please find help. To people who make long TikTok series, while I find them juicy and entertaining, there's a better platform for long video content. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's called YouTube. Here's why you're right. Y'all got me messed up if you think I'm going to sit here and watch a 52-minute TikTok series. Y'all got me messed up. I will watch a 52-minute YouTube video any day of the week. Please. I have produced 52-minute YouTube videos. Whenever I sit down to record, I have to curb my yapping so as not to produce another 52-minute YouTube video. I'm looking at my little recording thingy right now. I've been talking for more than 52 minutes. So I love me a certified yapper. But if you really think I'm going to hold my phone in vertical format and just stare at you for an hour, what? If anything, give me something horizontal. Give me a background, please. But that's just me. Long TikTok series do very well on TikTok. So clearly the audience is there. I'm just ancient. I like it when songs get popular on there. Usually they're good and give attention to smaller artists. Now that is an unpopular opinion. Usually TikTok music is good. Here's why you're right. I agree. I love the effect that TikTok has had on music. Do I love songs getting shorter because artists are trying to go viral on TikTok? No, but to be honest, those artists don't have to do that. I can just follow people who care about the art more than going viral on TikTok. I love seeing truly random musicians just reach unparalleled levels of success solely because they made something that people related to. They made something that sounded nice. They made something that got stuck in people's heads. No, I guess I don't really vibe with most of the music that comes out of TikTok, but I don't care. I love music. I just love people being excited about songs. So it makes me happy that even though TikTok may have shed its Musical.ly roots, music still plays a really huge part for a lot of people. Unlike YouTube clout, TikTok clout is essentially worthless in the long run. Here's why you're wrong. I've actually considered this from a business perspective, and I think that while YouTube clout is a lot more useful directly, I have seen some people leverage TikTok clout into a YouTube career. Just because there are a lot of annoying people on the app does not mean there aren't some really talented people who figure out smart ways to use it to their benefit. However, for the average case, I do actually completely agree with this. Having hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok doesn't really do anything. And so I think it's a little harder to build a brand, though not impossible. It's creating a single giant culture which is weirdly distant from real life. Chronically Online folks have a very skewed idea of reality, and also it's bad for literature, fashion, and art. Here's why you're right. Though I wouldn't say this is a problem unique to TikTok by any means, I have noticed that there is a large number of people on the app who think that just because they saw something on TikTok, that means it is happening. That means people care about it. That means it's having an effect. Everybody must be concerned about this right now. But the truth of the matter is that is very rarely the case. Among TikTok users, I'm sure we all are aware of these things, but it's kind of the same thing where if you asked a random YouTube user, hey, did you hear about that crazy thing that happened in the commentary community last week? They're going to be like, the what? Everything is a bubble. Even the people watching this video and me, we're all within a bubble where we care about the things that we're talking about. But I think TikTok is a lot better at hiding that bubble and kind of giving the illusion that everybody is, once again, in on it. How could you not be? We're all on TikTok, but we're not. We're not. I think banning TikTok is okay. I think we should ban all forms of short content. No more Reels, no more YouTube Shorts, no more TikTok. Let's eradicate short form content. The world was a better place before it. Here's why you're wrong. I think that overstimulating, out of context, brain rotting, rage baiting, just awful content designed only to make someone feel worse or uncomfortable for 60 seconds. I totally believe there should be some sort of reckoning for that, but I would never say that the answer is just to ban short form content outright, because if someone is choosing to tell a story in 60 seconds, which does happen, if they're choosing to make art that is short form content, if they're telling a joke that doesn't need to go on past a minute, showing something off, they're giving a helpful tip, etc., I feel like I definitely understand what you mean when you say the world was a better place before short form content. I don't disagree that we were better off without the average TikTok video, but there is a lot you can do in 60 seconds that is not awful. Also, funnily enough, I never hear this argument applied to Vine. I've never heard anyone say Vine was actually bad and we should have banned it because it was short form content. Again, that's because the content on it was very different from TikTok, but still, that kind of proves that banning short form is not really the answer. Not being allowed to use basic words when discussing serious topics because it's considered explicit will be the death of language. Here's why you're right. Oh my God. It is such a pet peeve for me when people do like the quirky TikTok censoring. They find all these very goofy sounding ways of referring to horrific things that happen to people. And I understand why they're doing it. But when it migrates off platform, I'm just like, guys, what are you doing? Some things need to be taken very seriously. It can be really uncomfortable to talk about certain things, but they still need to be discussed appropriately, in my opinion. And referring to people as grapists or like, unaliving each other or whatever, when you are actually talking about real things that happened, I can't. Engaging with TikTok is optional. Here's why you're right. I don't use TikTok. I have a TikTok account, actually. I'm on there. I was getting impersonated a lot and I just got really tired of it. But as far as watching TikTok or like having a For You page, that's not something I do, actually. When TikTok first started popping off and I realized it wasn't just Musical.ly, people were doing more than lip syncing, I kind of thought about my personality type and like my extremely unhealthy relationship with Twitter at that time. And I was like, do I need to introduce another one of these into my life right now? So I didn't. And I'm happy to say, as someone who doesn't use TikTok at all, I don't think I've missed anything. Even when things go viral or happen or important things happen, I do still find out about them very easily. So yes, I would say engaging with TikTok is quite optional and more people should try it. I'm not afraid to say it. Instagram Reels is way better than TikTok. Here's why I can't answer that question, because I also don't use Instagram Reels. Adults on TikTok shouldn't be able to complain about tweens and teens on the app since it's markets for teens and tweens. They already have Facebook. Like, what else do y'all need? Here's why you're wrong in some ways and very right in others. Personally, I think being above a certain age and complaining about what kids are doing on an app is just crazy. Like, if you're mad at kids for making memes, having fun, liking specific music, doing specific fashion trends, just because it's something you, an old, wouldn't do, and this is coming from a fellow old, I just don't understand what would drive someone to do that when... No, I just don't get it. What's wrong with kids having fun? However, I think kids are doing a lot of things on TikTok that go way beyond having fun and veer into dangerous territory. And I am actually so glad that there are adults on the app, because we would wind up not knowing most of this. And also, I think that TikTok is not just for teens and tweens. I know it's primarily used that way, but most of my friends who watch TikTok, they're not getting recommended kids at all, actually. There's a lot of people my age, older. There's people who exclusively make things on TikTok that apply to people who are like in their 30s, 40s, etc. There's people on TikTok who do things that have nothing to do with age, you know, certain hobbies, skills. So I do think while TikTok is definitely for the kids, it is also just a platform where a lot of people are, and a lot of those people are older. TikTok is exactly what you get when you combine 2011 through 2014 era Tumblr with Vine. Here's why you're right, because I was a fan of 2011 through 2014 era Tumblr. It's something I try very hard not to think about. But yes, many of the things I do see on the Clock app are quite similar. TikTok has helped make it so that people don't know how to be bored. This has been a trend that's been building up over the years, but I feel like since TikTok exploded in popularity, it's gotten worse. It's okay for kids, teens, and adults to be bored. There doesn't have to be something going on or something in your face all the time. Being bored can help give your brain a break. Here's why you're right. I do definitely consider this to be one of the biggest issues that has gotten worse because of TikTok. I have witnessed people fill 30 to 45 seconds of their time with just watching like 2 or 3 videos on TikTok. And look, I'm no brain person, but I can't help but imagine that's not the best thing ever, right? That doesn't seem like a positive development for humanity, because it's exceedingly abnormal to think to yourself, I have 25 seconds, I need to fill it with something, some form of stimulation. And so TikTok making that so easy, it's concerning. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Despite its many, many flaws, it has allowed many folks to learn more about themselves and form communities. For example, autistic folks. As an autistic therapist who sees a lot of autistic clients, I've seen how life-changing autistic self-realization can be. Here's why you're right. I think that is one of the biggest ways in which it is similar to Tumblr. Do you know how many people had life-changing epiphanies about who they were, or even ways in which they were allowed to present themselves on Tumblr? I know I did. And regardless of the nonsense that was happening on that platform, that was a net positive. I'm so glad I saw people being different at such an early age, because then I kind of realized like, oh, they're not different actually. And so any sort of identity or experience one may have, finding other people, again, coming together to discuss that, that's a positive. This may be a cold take, but I hate how much of an effect TikTok is having on other social media platforms. I hate the way vertical short form content is the only way upcoming creators can get noticed. Whatever happened to Instagram being a photo sharing platform? Here's why you're right, with a side of wrong. It takes a lot of planning and strategy, but you absolutely can launch a long form content career right now on YouTube without ever posting a short. Short form content gives the illusion of being the only way to help smaller creators get noticed. But the truth of the matter is, you probably usually don't want to be noticed that way if you have goals of creating anything other than short form content. The audience doesn't really cross over as much as people seem to think it does. But with that being said, seeing literally every social media platform scramble to copy TikTok, it has been incredibly annoying. And the TikTokification of social media is just oof. My unpopular opinion is that I like it. I like to watch funny videos with my partner at nighttime. Here's why you're right. I actually think this is the first unpopular opinion in the entire video. I did ask for unpopular opinions, and I do think most of these are like absurdly popular opinions. I actually think it's quite uncommon to just like TikTok. Like, oh yeah, Snap, it's cool. I put it on sometimes. I think that is an extremely valid opinion. Congrats on actually being unpopular. TikTok Shop is just glorified teleshopping. Here's why you're right. I wouldn't even say it's glorified. It's just the same thing, honestly. I remember being a kid and watching infomercials for like the weirdest products. A lamp that is brighter than the sun. Call right now and you can buy it in just two easy payments of $19.99. And that energy of like, you have to buy this right now, you have to buy this right now or you're actually gonna die. That seems to be alive and well on TikTok nowadays. Everyone's buying this one thing that they don't need. Better get it. Obviously, I don't think things like this are ever gonna go away. It's just kind of funny seeing it cycle and take new forms over the years. Not all TikToks have a negative impact. Some can be educational, inspiring, or entertaining in a good way. Though it may have a negative impact on mental health, TikTok is not the sole reason someone's depressed or anxious, so there's no reason to completely demonize it. Also, it's okay to find music you like through TikTok. Here's why you're right. It is obscenely upsetting that there is like a mental health crisis, and so seeing something like TikTok, which in many ways can exacerbate this issue, I think it's very easy to direct all of your attention there because now you finally have a name for it. But the truth of the matter is TikTok is one part of this weird, awful world that we live in that makes it kind of easy to be very unhappy literally all the time. And objectively, there is content on TikTok that is helpful. Now, there's plenty of conversations to be had about, does it outweigh this or does it outweigh that? That's not for me to decide. I'm not into banning content, but I really think it's probably more beneficial to get to the bottom of the systemic issues that cause these problems, not only the surface level issues. TikTok is a very surface level representation of deep issues that I think are affecting a lot of people. No one under 16 should be on it. Here's why I can't say whether you're right or wrong. I don't know anything about developmental anything in regards to children or what's healthy or not healthy. I can't very well opine on what kids should or should not be doing. I'm sure there are ways to supervise TikTok and make it not TikTok. However, what I truly believe is that no one under 16 should be posting content with their face to the internet. You can do whatever you want to do, obviously. But when I think back, I'm just so glad I never had the opportunity to put my face out there when I was a minor for so very many reasons. None of which I could have understood when I was a minor. But again, that's just an opinion. That's not me saying what people should or should not do. I'm definitely not, the CEO of good parenting, don't have any kids. I mean, I do have this little friend. They're not a kid. They're more of like a buddy, I guess. Also, I do have to take accountability. I have gone too long without choosing a name for the bunny. So go ahead and tell me what name we should pick canonically. And then next time I check this video, whatever the comment is that has the most likes, that's a name for the bunny, I will officially make that their name. Please pick something that fits, something that, really captures their essence. Pick a boy name, girl name, any name. We don't have to gender the stuffed rabbit. And yeah, I'm curious to see what you come up with. It isn't good for us. Here's why I'm this is worded so ominously. It's not the worst thing to happen to the internet, but it's a pretty close third behind 4chan and 8chan. Here's why you're wrong. No way. Listen, horrible things happen on TikTok. Awful things have happened on that platform involving danger of loss of life, etc. I think it's had an extremely negative effect on an untold number of millions of people, many of whom are children. But oh my God, if 4chan and 8chan are your number 1 and 2 worst things to happen to the internet, I think there are a lot of websites that go between them and TikTok. And in fact, you can even find pockets on other websites that are basically just 4chan and 8chan. I have seen on Reddit, Twitter, just things where I'm like, how is this currently being hosted on the internet? Like, this is sitting on someone's server and y'all are okay with that? I personally don't think the worst people on the internet are congregating on TikTok. But I bring this up not because I think this person is wrong, only because 4chan and 8chan are just one heck of a starting point. I honestly think TikTok is overhated. It's no worse than any social media, and basically blaming it for the internet's toxicity is bonkers. Yes, a lot of toxicity is spread on TikTok and its algorithm is really good at radicalizing, but that is true for every single social media. The problem is with the whole industry, and we need to hold all companies equally accountable for their dystopian BS. Here's why you're right. Once again, this is a very unpopular opinion, but I completely agree with it. It's not that TikTok is overhated. It's really just that same level of scrutiny should be applied unilaterally across social media companies. When I think about some of the awful things that have happened on Reddit, like leaking celebrities' nudes without their consent, entire subreddits just dedicated to thirsting over literal children. When I think about some of the things that have happened on Facebook, people using it to organize extremely dangerous activities, being like one of the biggest sources of political disinformation the internet has ever seen. When I think about things that happen on Twitter, like it really just goes on and on and on. When I think about things that have happened on YouTube, frankly, you know what I mean? It's pretty irresponsible for me to sit here and gleefully say, TikTok, 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 you are uniquely problematic. The uniqueness lies in the format, because yes, it's a little different from other companies, but it doesn't lie in its problematic nature. Saying we need to ban TikTok solely based off of not liking some of the bad things that happen on it, or even, heck, the majority of things on it being bad, that could immediately apply to every other social media. The never-ending bandwagon effect. It irks me that people genuinely decide to do/buy something just because it's trending on TikTok. Think of Stanley Cups, for example. Here's why you're right, but here's why I don't see it as a unique problem to TikTok. We have always had fashion trends, you know? Yes, the Stanley Cup is a fashion trend. There's always been things that are cool to have just because you saw other people having it, not because you actually needed it. I remember being a kid and I wanted Heelys so badly. Oh my God. I would have committed a crime. I would have jumped a kid for his Heelys, honestly. I didn't want those because I needed them or because I thought I would use them for more than an extended period of time. I just wanted them because I saw them. They looked so cool. They were designed to appeal to me, and they did. I've seen things in real life, in magazines, on TV, just become these big cultural trends for no reason. And so yeah, it's definitely annoying, but is it a TikTok issue? In many ways, yes. When you see people doing things like Shein haul, just bought 50 articles of clothing from Shein for no reason, you get rewarded more for promoting that because of TikTok. So if anything, I would say it has taken an issue and ramped it up to 11, which I think it has done with a lot of issues. Is it unpopular to say that it's quite amazing to see how TikTok and a few other forms of social media, but TikTok does it the best, has put editing into the hands of anyone and everyone? People talk about social media being the death of filmmaking, and yet everyone is a filmmaker now. Here's why you're right. Because if it had not gotten just progressively easier for people to create content, you wouldn't be watching this video. Point blank, period. I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't have any sort of platform. I wouldn't have been able to tell so many stories that I've wanted to tell, and I feel like I've successfully told. I wouldn't have like so many things that I'm proud of that so many people have seen, if not for YouTube. So just because I don't understand it, I can't say TikTok is a bad version of that. TikTok is that for more people, but I don't like it because honestly, a lot of people didn't understand what I was doing on YouTube. I don't think a single person took me seriously in my personal life when it comes to YouTube for a very long time. Maybe my mom, she believed all my delusions when I was like, no, yeah, I'm gonna get like hundreds of thousands of views. There's this guy named Shane Dawson. He's a millionaire. She fell for the hype and I did as well. And it turned out to mean something. So I agree with your unpopular opinion. I think it's good that everyone can create videos now, just because that has allowed a lot of horrific, unnecessary video content to flood the internet. I prefer it. That's my probably the most unpopular thing I'll say in this video. I would rather there be 1 million awful videos, and yet somebody who never would have had the opportunity to tell a story before now can. We can get better at filtering through these awful videos. We can increase the media literacy. We can block things. We can click not interested. We can honestly train the algorithms to be a little less that. But doing things that could deter people from feeling like they have the power to be a creator, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. Because if that had happened to me, I don't know where I'd be right now. TikTok can completely distort your view of yourself. I haven't been on TikTok in 4 years, but when I was on it, I saw so many beautiful people that it destroyed my mental health because I was starting to believe that everyone looked this beautiful and I just looked around average. Here's why you're right. 2 tips. 1, don't ever believe a photo. Don't ever see a photo of someone you're perceiving or a video of someone you're perceiving as beautiful. Don't take that as an indicator of how anyone could look. Even right now, I've got these absurdly bright lights in my face. Everything you're seeing on screen has been deliberately put together to make me look as good as I possibly can, which honestly is pretty darn good, but this isn't real, I guess. I have to be honest, this isn't real. I know how to look good on camera because I learned how to do so. That's the same for anybody who's posting content online. Now, my unpopular opinion is that anybody can learn to look good on camera, actually. Anybody can learn to look as good as they possibly can, but without like the proper lighting and just the knowledge of angles and all of that, it's not even fair to internalize beautiful people on TikTok as a normal, because it's just not. And my second piece of advice, be careful with your phone camera, because that's not how you look. In fact, be careful with the mirror. The way you are represented on screens and reflections through lenses, all of this is distorting reality. The reality is you are beautiful. It's silly how much dress up we have to do to convince ourselves of that fact, but it's beautiful just to be here. None of this means anything. I think none of this are the beautiful people. It doesn't mean anything. Everybody, yes, everybody has bad angles. Nobody looks beautiful all the time. And so if you don't, you are actually on the very same level as the people you're looking at. People be like, well, I've never seen a bad picture of Zendaya, because she's a professional. When your whole life revolves around there not being any bad pictures of you, there's probably not going to be any bad pictures of you. That's like a job. It's very divorced from reality, I think. And so it's important to remember these things. And finally, we have this one. Introducing long format videos, but not finding a way to truly pay their long form creators is the beginning of the end for the platform. This seems like a great place to voice my biggest question about the Clock app, which is why? Why can you now upload like a 15-minute video or whatever the new limit is? It's not even new anymore. I just move slowly. Who wants to watch? But people do watch it. That's what I have to remind my people do watch 15-minute videos on TikTok. But why? One day I will understand it. I would even say I understand short form content on TikTok. I don't have a problem with short form content. Again, the overstimulating, egregious, misleading, brain rot stuff, I have a problem with those things. But the creator having something to say in 1 minute and then taking a minute to say, knock yourself out. But taking 10 minutes on TikTok, one day, I'm sure it'll all come to me in a dream or something. But until then, allow me to continue to be confused. If I had to sum up, I guess, my general opinion, do I think TikTok has ruined the internet? No, I think it's accelerated the problems that have existed long before TikTok ever was created. And I hate to be pessimistic, but I feel like if it wasn't TikTok doing that, something else would have come along and done it in its stead, frankly. So you may as well do some funky dances and listen to some cool songs and follow some cool creators while you're at it. I don't know. But that's my take on the situation. Dave's take on the situation is that he's still salty at TikTok for banning him for impersonation of the statue of David. I've reached out to them and tried to explain it's not impersonation, he was just drawn that way, but what can you do? And I'm of course excited to hear your take. I mean, this is the part of the video where a layman would ask you to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment, but I will ask you to enroll, evaluate the video, and submit your feedback. Because I am of course running a 100% completely, totally, all the way, okay, maybe not really, somewhat unaccredited university. Probably. Just ask anybody in the student body and they'll confirm it for you. We're totally legit. And as for me, whether you'll see me in 24 hours or 24 months is honestly anyone's guess, but until then, thanks for watching. Your homework for today is to watch a video longer than 15 seconds.